Hi guys, weekly market outlook, and with that, well, the crypto mania is really ongoing. Ripple kind of moving to the upside, 120, 130, 140 in reach potentially. We have the dollar's strength. Is it fading? We will examine this one, as well as obviously precious metals impacted by the US dollar strength, as well as the oil market worth a chance, and recent and current numbers. We shall check as well what goes in this regard, because we get quite a bit of motivation here when looking at those figures, and those figures obviously this upcoming week, next week, might offer some insightful momentum as well, in particular in regards to the stand of the economy. So welcome back. With that, leave your comments below the video and don't forget to subscribe, as well as check out our FX Strategies membership. We have some interesting plans and offer you some discount with the token I'll mention at the end of this video. So stay tuned for this one. Hey, what goes now in markets? Obviously, we have figures, important brewing figures this upcoming week, and to focus on the important ones, monetary policy hearing in the UK. Well, that's some upside or some sideways production we get from the recent figures and their statement. CPI data, however, is worth a consideration. CPI data, obviously kind of something which could, from Canada, cause the Canadian dollar to be of further momentum to the up, or rather what we observe the downside at the moment. Dollar Canadian, we observed this, and our members got a nice trading setup which brewed and is working out nicely. Stop loss adjusted already to entry in this market. What's happening? We said the market might break to the upside. We had this retracement here and the market boom up and rolling. We bought at 139.70 basically, and the upside happened. Currently, and that's the question, how far this market will go, we don't know as well, but what we do is gradually taking slight profit as the market goes higher, and simply by having adjusted the stop loss to entry, nothing much can burn in this market for now. We have the resistance area. That's exactly where we are trading at right now, right? So similar level. Is the market gonna push to the upside first and then return to the downside? Might be something interesting. However, when looking at it from this long-term perspective, we see that the market is in a nice trending pattern here, triangle formation, and that could brew and cause upside potential with something interesting here. Dollar strength obviously is one thing, and now leading to the old saying, oil weakening, Canadian dollar weakening, is something which actually makes sense for now. So we shall talk about basically the next upcoming opportunities. The oil market, that is what I've just mentioned. Oil market being down. Psychological support level broken and retested, potentially offering further weakness. The US dollar's strength is what counts here as well. The strength in the greenback is seemingly something we observe in this market being something which causes the market momentum to potentially weaken even further. And with that, let's examine the the oil chart in US dollar, measured WTI, basically for those trading also futures. Potentially the support zone broken and retested, and that zone might open up the room. We are still at this level here when looking at the left side of the chart, but we had the trend falling, right? So that's it. We had the retracement, pin bar candlestick pattern, and that's again long-term chart. On the monthly picture here, testing the 50 moving average, and now off to the races to the downside is what it looks like, at least for now. Plus, looking ahead and looking backwards here, the recent couple of trading days this week, still we had the support area which was broken, kind of retested, but now the market is in falling price motivation mode, and that looks pretty much clearly towards rather negative sentiment moving ahead. That's now for oil markets, and that's potentially why back towards the Canadian dollar, why the loonie, as it's called, is actually losing quite a bit of steam. Again, daily chart, dollar CAD, we examined it just now, moving quite to the upside, and as well the euro CAD. Now, the euro is being weak, the Canadian dollar was somehow able to gear up some strength against the euro, the common currency, but now also the euro against the Canadian dollar is obviously kind of about to rise somehow further. Off to the races here at this important support area, not really a clear trend line, but you know what I mean. Off to the races at this zone here, we could see that the downside momentum could increase somehow again. However, the weakness of the loonie, the weakness of the Canadian dollar is the key takeaway we have here this week. So consumer prices on Tuesday might give us some insights. They are about to fall somehow, and that is going to happen, which it could. Basically, falling consumer prices would offer less attractiveness for the Canadian dollar. The prospects potentially of rate cuts would be there as well. Rate cuts would kind of really harm the interest of the currency, causing downside momentum to continue. And with that, we might see any surprise negativity in CPI data even would occur or would cause downside motivation potentially to continue. Speaking of figures, further figures this week, what else do we have? We have important numbers as well when looking ahead more towards Wednesday. Basically, CPI from the UK could be interesting, and we should examine what the pound does, because the pound was leaving a momentum open for falling prices, especially against the greenback, as we mentioned, as we examined right now. Against the Japanese yen, kind of something interesting as well. So let's go back to charting patterns and check out what goes. That's the CPI data on Wednesday, basically here, 8 o'clock in the morning, harming potentially the pound, depending on how it goes. Expected to rise somehow comparing the recent figures. That's the yearly data. But the pound is what we mentioned, and the pound might be something interesting here to observe. On a clear trend line, the market was able to fall. What if the pound is able to gear up momentum? Well, let's check the daily chart. We are below an interesting support zone. So with a break of this zone, the market might be able and keen to fall somehow further. Is that going to extend basically as well on monthly charts? On the monthly, we are approaching a support zone. However, we are kind of in between open waters right now, and we might say only way down below here at 125 and a quarter. The next important support zone could kick in until then, or even until the 123 something area, 124 round number. Not too much offers support in the pound, hence falling prices might be the outcome and the medium-term path the pound might continue with. Speaking of the pound against the US dollar's weakness, we can check as well on the euro dollar, also offering downside momentum. That's here the daily chart, what it suggests. Now, the Australian dollar is kind of quite interesting because as well, the Aussie has weakened below an important support level, and just recently, right? Just this week, Thursday, Friday, the market was able to kind of break below the downside momentum, or say the Australian dollar not able to withstand the current situation. The economy in the Chinese hemisphere is not too bad, obviously, right? Recent figures suggest that the public demand basically keeps on pushing higher, so that would be something positive for the economy. That might also boost the demand side, China's in regards to the Australian side. So the demand from Australia could gear up some momentum for the Aussie, causing the market to rise further. But what we see furthermore right now might be something in regards to dollar strength, pulling all those markets to the downside, and the weakness in the economic sentiment indication in regards to the S&P 500. Now, looking at the MACD indicator, we can see based on MACD information, the market is at the highest, at kind of strong overbought levels. And what we've seen, we had positive market momentum, positive in regards to what we get from the election in the US. Positivity for the US election was leading for another week, or was causing the markets to push 1 week basically towards higher levels. And this upside momentum here in the market is something we can observe potentially, which might be ongoing, might offer ongoing motivation and causing potentially that the upside potential here in the S&P might continue. However, looking at it and beyond that positivity here in the market, we might see something else is happening here, and that could be another take for these markets to continue on or to potentially weaken somehow further. Why that? We have tested the rough 6,000 area in the S&P 500. We are trading at 5,800, 5,900. Psychological round number being kind of inside. The market offering upside momentum. Well, in a way it does. But the technical resistance, the technical strong resistance zone is as well basically in reach. And with that, the falling or a potential falling trend could be what we might face here right now. And this upside momentum here based on this trading area here, always some weakness across basically those lines when the resistance zone was tested is what we might see here as a negative a burden in this market, potential downside momentum being clearly the case. And this downside momentum is what we observe here with potentially further weakness kind of being offered in regards to equities and indices moving lower. So with that, indices moving potentially to lower price levels, dollar strength playing its part, its role. By the way, if we expect US policies in the first quarter 2025 to be somewhat kind of supportive, dollar strength might also harm the demand for the index side, causing potentially the S&P among other markets to basically weaken again to lower price levels. So that's something we should really focus on when moving forward. And back to the charts, what else we could see as well is that this technical resistance pattern and the being far away from the 50 moving average is something which could kind of cause a reversion to the mean, basically downside momentum here in the S&P 500 being potentially expected in regards to the current market sentiment and the current market motivation. Back towards the economic calendar. Now, Friday, we round up this coming week with a lot of PMI data. Purchasing Manager Index from France, from the German side. We have the general data as well from the UK Brewing, and then on Friday, flash PMI in the afternoon from the US. Obviously, comparing those figures, we can see that manufacturing data and services data in the US always and still in recent couple of months has been better compared to the Eurozone and other markets, and that's giving the US some competitive advantage. However, the Trump administration, will they really do any good? Trump might be, we might be better off with Trump comparing it to Harris, but definitely if that or those two politicians are all what the US were able to kind of bring forward to this election, I'm just, questioning the entire system, the entire positivity in markets. Guys, stay tuned for our further updates. Stay tuned for obviously market motivation and pure trends. Will Ripple be able to continue higher? Will Bitcoin break beyond the 90,000 and whatnot, 120,000 US dollar level? Might be something interesting. Dollar strength, is it ongoing? Well, we see upside, but we might also see a potential correction happening further. Stay tuned. Keep your insightful momentum and keep your questions below the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And by the way, just use the token when checking out fxstrategies.asia's website. Use the token YouTube to claim your personal discount for the next month of membership. See you then. Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.